Well, good evening. It's nice to see everyone here, and it's kind of neat to see how everyone's kind of quiet, ready for the meeting to begin. I am getting this reputation that you better be in there, or Plank's going to start right away. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for being involved. We appreciate you being here this evening. We are now going to reconvene the November 14th, 2017 regularly scheduled board meeting of the School Board of Trustees for Richland 2. We've just returned from executive session where we discussed student appeals, student admission requests into the adult ed program, student readmission requests, employment recommendations, and employment releases and in-district transfers. At this time, we're going to go ahead and move on to our inspirational moment, presentation of the colors and the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Agostini.
Mr. Chair, tonight our fellow board member, Dr. Elkins Johnson, will provide our inspirational moment.
Thank you, Ms. Agostini. I'm going to read a story that could change a leader's or other's life. Once, there were a group of frogs merrily hopping through the forest. They didn't have a care in the world until two of the frogs fell into a deep pit. All of the other frogs quickly gathered around the large pit and peered down into its deep vastness. They all began to scratch their heads, trying to come up with a way to get out. After a long period of time, they couldn't think of a solution. They all agreed it was hopeless and yelled down to the other frogs to prepare for their fate and that they would never get out. Unwilling to believe the other frogs, the two frogs jumped even higher. The groups of frogs above the hole began to shout even louder to quit, to encourage the frogs to give up. They would never get out of there alive, and it really wasn't worth it. After a period of time, one of the frogs gave heed to what was being said to him and gave up and died. The other frog thought, I'll jump even higher. The shouts of discouragement continued and got louder. And though he was absolutely drained of every bit of energy he had, this frog had determination and continued to jump even higher in miraculous ways. Eventually, he jumped so high, he sprang right out of the pit. The other frogs celebrated this frog's victory and then gathered around him in puzzlement. They said, didn't you hear us tell you to stay down? Didn't you hear us tell you to stay down? You wouldn't get out. In response to that frog, he said, oh, is that what you were saying? I'm hard of hearing, and I thought you were telling me to jump even higher. I didn't think you were discouraging me. I thought you were encouraging me. 2 points to this story. 1, you will have many people to tell you to give up and quit in life, including yourself. That is too hard. Don't listen. Choose to do the right thing. 2, being positive works. As a leader, you can shape the behavior so much better by being positive than by being negative. Inspire people. Don't knock them down. At the end of the day, we serve our reputation best by leading with our best self and letting our character speak for itself. Reputation matters, but character will always lead the way. And with that, I'm going to ask E.J. Graham to please come forward. E.J. Graham is one of our Blythewood High School students, and I had a distressful moment in Food Lion where I actually lost my cell phone, had so many things going on, and I did not know this young man. And his character spoke for himself, which is now his reputation. He quietly came over to me, was willing to help and assist, and he saw this old lady just panicking with the cell phone who had just paid to get the glass replaced. So I wanted to recognize him, and when I said to him, I said, are you one of Richland 2 students? And he said, yes, ma'am, in a quiet, sweet, respectful voice. I knew that we were doing some special things in Richland 2. So because of that, it meant so much to me that I asked him to come to the board meeting and be recognized, because so many times we run into teenagers and we see them, and we have so many negative things that we hear and we read about teenagers, but I want to show you that we have teenagers that's out here doing great things, wonderful things, and even doing them to strangers. And, you know, if you go to church, you know that sometimes you're just entertaining angels. And EJ was truly an angel for me. So EJ, Earl, Graham, I want to give you something today. At this time, would you please stand for the presentation of the colors?
Mark time, mark. Left turn, mark. Color guard, halt. Present. Arm.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arm. Right turn, mark. Forward, mark. Color guard, halt. Order, color.
Well, thank you, Dr. Elkins Johnson, for the inspirational message, and for EJ and his character. We appreciate that. Is that a College Charleston jacket on? All right, my alma mater. Go Cougars. Also, thanks for the Blythewood Army JROTC for their presentation of the colors this evening. Did a great job.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Manning.
I'd like to take a point of privilege. If I could have my daughter Taylor stand up. So when I was sworn in the first time, I had to reach down to get to the Bible. I'm almost having to reach up now, but I appreciate her mom's out of town, so she got the privilege of spending an evening with me at the board meeting. And a great student, AB student, and Dr. Davis, she did her part for your test scores this year. So we appreciate all the schoolwork. And Taylor, thanks for hanging out with me tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manning. Taylor, that's not embarrassing, is it? Just what a middle schooler wants. We'll now move on to our approval of the current agenda. May I get a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Agostini. May I get a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Elkins Johnson. If no discussion, we'll take it to a vote. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next up is our 5.1, Student Focus. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our faculty focus this afternoon comes from Summit Parkway Middle School. Principal April Shell will share highlight the school's Junior Student to Student Ambassadors program, which supports military students and their families, and the AVID program, which is expanding school-wide to support the academic success of all students. Michelle?
Good evening, everyone. I'm April Shell, keeper of the nest, I like to say, at Summit Parkway Middle School, and these are my eagles I present to you this evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is LaDavia Terry, and I am the president of the Junior Student to Student Ambassador Program. Standing with me, I have Trip Whitaker, our vice president, Miss Susan Parker, our AVID teacher, and our outstanding principal, Miss April Shell. Sitting in the audience, we have our advisor, Miss Nellie Jones, and the other members of the program. The Junior Student-to-Student Ambassador Program is a program designed to help military students have a smooth transition into a new school and a new community. We also introduce the academic support and the character education program, 7 Mindsets.
We have created a pre-recorded video to share the role of the Junior Student-to-Student Ambassador. Next up will be the AVID students, and they will be showcasing how we are avidizing school-wide and providing academic rigor. Thank you, and please sit back, relax, and enjoy the video.
Being a military child isn't a fun experience. Having to move a lot, go to a new school, and making new friends over and over again. This is the same experience Lawrence is going through. Today, he will experience his first day at Summit Parkway Middle School.
Why do I be a military kid? All I do is move from state to state, country to country, and school to school. As soon as I get comfortable, I start to move again. Life is so unfair. Wow, this school's so large, I only need to find my way around.
Good morning, and welcome to Summit Parkway Middle School in Eagle Soar. My name is Jasmine Harris. This is Chase Chisholm and Omari Nicosia. We are members of our Junior Student-to-Student Ambassador Program, a program that has been designed to help military families transition into a new community and school.
Thank goodness. I've been nervous and frustrated about coming to another new school. My last 3 schools did not have a junior student-to-student ambassador program.
We have had this program for over 10 years. The Military Child Education Coalition provided the former ambassador students with training. Then the 8th grade ambassadors get to help train the 6th and 7th grade students to help students just like you. We also meet with our military kids monthly to eat lunch, play games, or just to share life experiences. We also help plan our Veterans Day program and design cards for our military heroes. 2 years ago, the ambassadors hosted a military mixer, and all of the military families got to come meet and mingle with one another.
Cool, I think we'll become a junior student-to-student ambassador next year so I can help military kids and their families too.
Lawrence, the bell is about to ring. Are you ready for Omarion to show you to your classes?
Yes.
Here's a copy of your schedule. Omarion also has a copy of it. He'll be showing you to your classes as long as you need his help. Chase will eat lunch with you and be your recess buddy.
Oh, recess? Yes, we have recess twice a week and Fun Friday every Friday.
Oh yeah, on Fun Fridays you get to sit wherever you want to sit. You can sit with me and Chase.
You all made me feel so much better. I'm so thankful to have you all are going to be here to help me.
Are you ready to go to class now?
Yes, and Chase, I'll see you at recess and lunch today.
Okay, have a nice day, Lawrence.
Everybody to go ahead and stand up. Everybody stand up. Come on.
At Summit, W stands for writing, and we write in all of our classes. Across campuses, you can see us do quick writes, summaries, lab reports, journals, learning logs, prayer models, reflections, and annotating the text.
I stands for inquiry. Inquiry is when we ask questions or wonder about things. We use our inquiry skills when we do philosophical chairs, four corners, Socratic seminars, and tutorials. All of our classes have DOK questions, and in AVID, we ask DOK questions using Costa's levels of questions.
C is collaboration. When we collaborate, we work together towards a common goal. Collaboration is used in gallery, walls, think, pair, share, jigsaws, get one fishbowl, conversation, and team building exercises.
Give me an O.
O is for organization. Aside from classroom calendars, we have a school-wide binder procedure so all students can be organized. Part of the binder procedure includes an agenda that is used for our assignments and for time management. And of course, we all use Cornell Notes for note-taking.
Give me an R.
R is for reading. To actively read, we mark the text and chart what we read. Closing readings are used in many classes, as well as KWL charts. Reading is necessary for Socratic seminars and Advent. We read scholarly articles before responding to prompts such as SAT tests.
Congratulations, you just finished your first episode of Wicker Yoga at Summit Parkway. We are college and career ready. High five. Give everybody a high five.
Well, thank you so much. That was fun. A little yoga and a board meeting. We've got, I tell you, the ambassador program, how neat. I grew up as a military child and a career military father and my mom, and we travel around quite a bit. I know what it's like to be sitting in the classroom when everyone else is at recess, and in comes the class for the first time. And Dr. Kasha Parker, I know you can relate. Yeah, so we thanks for sharing tonight. We really appreciate that. At this time, we're going to move on to our next item, which is 6.1, special recognitions. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To do our special recognitions, we have Ms. Libby Ruth.
Thank you. And I believe Dr. Elkins Johnson is going to come forward to help give out certificates. Dr. Davis, Chairman Plank, members of the board. Most importantly, though, our special guests who have joined us tonight. We have another great night of recognitions to honor. And first up, we will call Sonia Baxter, a student from Round Top Elementary School, along with her principal, Ms. Janine Tucker. Sonia is a blossoming poet, and she won first place, and her assistant principal is coming to take a photograph. Won, of course, Sonia, our blossoming poet, won first place in the South Carolina State Library's Young Minds Dreaming Poetry Contest. More than 600 South Carolina students sent in original works for the contest. Students in grades 3 through 12 were invited to submit poems relating to stories of a person, place, or experience that made a mark on the students' lives that were judged by a panel of 9 judges. Sonia won for the elementary category with her poem entitled The Beach, which I know is many of our favorite places. Sonia and the other category winners had the opportunity to meet with Jacqueline Woodson and recite their work to her personally. What an honor, and we are so proud of our blooming poet. Congratulations, Sonia. We get to shine the spotlight on several members from the Blythewood High family, so if Dr. Brenda Hafner will make her way up front, and we'll begin with 2 innovators from Blythewood High, Samuel Cathcart and Abhimanyu Salish, and teacher Justin Simpson, if Mr. Simpson is here. Our 2 students brought home the overall T.M. Floyd Top Innovator Award, as well as the High School Division Award at the first annual Innovation Challenge that was sponsored by ITology and the South Carolina Department of Education. The Innovation Challenge is a new statewide competition for students in grades 3 through 12, whose purpose is to create projects using technology to solve or bring awareness to a problem in the community. Samuel and Abby won for their portable element synthesizer. You may ask, what is that? What does it do? I asked the same thing. This device can generate electricity from both solar and water power. Most devices only generate electricity from solar energy, but this device has the capability to switch from solar power to water power, which has great implications for communities across the world that don't have resources to electricity. You put the device in a stream and you generate electricity. Well, okay. It also has a USB port to charge your phone, again, with solar or water energy. The possibilities are endless, and our students are at the forefront of this technology. Samuel and Abby showcased their projects at the South Carolina State Fair last month, and we are extremely proud of them. Congratulations. Next up from Blythewood High School, we call Alan Deontay Bookert and his teacher, Sarah Park. Deontay received the Outstanding Youth of the Year Award from the South Carolina Division of Career Development and Transition. This award is presented to a youth with disabilities in the process of exiting high school who demonstrate self-determination skills to overcome barriers in working towards transition goals. In her nomination of Deontay for this award, his teacher, Ms. Parks, wrote that Deontay has never let his disability define or restrict his view of his future successes. He is self-motivated and always attempts tasks before asking for his assistance. Last school year, Deontay became the first transition student to be employed by Richland 2, working before and after school care aide at one of our schools. As a senior, Deontay earned the highest non-academic honor for students at Blythewood High, was nominated and selected by faculty to receive the Blythewood High School Global Society Student of the Year Award. He is the first non-diploma track student to earn this award since the school opened in 2005. To say we are proud of you, Deontay, really just doesn't do it justice. Congratulations, and keep reaching for the stars. Now, hold on. Deontay knows something, and so I think he's going to stay up here because he knows while he got his award that his teacher got an award too. Deontay's teacher, Sarah Park, at the same time at the same event, received the Special Educator of the Year. What a pair. She has worked in special ed since 2001 and became a transition specialist in 2011. She sees the promise in each student for their success in the workforce and in life. This paired her with high expectations has resulted in many success stories with our students. Ms. Park was instrumental in getting a classroom for her students right here in R2I2 that focuses on viable job skills. Ms. Park, we have seen firsthand how wonderful you work with students, teaching them life skills they can use in the workplace. They wash and fold tablecloths, deliver our mail, embroidered clothes, and learn construction trade skills. You give our students and their families hope for the future. Congratulations on a well-deserved award. Next up, one of our high-achieving teachers, Jennifer Bartle from Spring Valley High School. Please come forward, along with Assistant Administrator Sharia Wilson. Ms. Bartle has been chosen to be a Teachers Guild Fellow for the 2017-2018 school year. The Teachers Guild is a national organization based in San Francisco that empowers teachers to use design thinking to help them solve the biggest challenges in education today. Ms. Bartle traveled to San Francisco, I just got back from there, for training this summer and is spending the year sharing design thinking with Spring Valley and the district. Throughout this one-year fellowship, she will design an innovative solution, share it across the school or district, and be a part of a cohort of 10 teachers from across the country who believes in the power of teacher ideas to transform education from the bottom up. Congratulations, and we look forward to some great ideas from you during your fellowship. Great work. Our schools have been doing great work with the environment. Between the end of last year and the beginning of this year, we've had 4 elementary schools to be certified South Carolina Green Step schools. And Ishra will do a photograph per school, okay? From Catawba Trail Elementary, we have Denise Barth and science lab teacher Vicki Pasco. If they would please come forward. And I'll tell you what they are doing at Catawba Trail. You walk in Catawba Trail Elementary, you know that they are all about the environment. That is just a wonderful school to go to. At Catawba Trail, every school participates in school-wide recycling. Students save broken crayons to melt them down and make new crayons. And every year since the Trex Plastic Bag Challenge began, Catawba Trail has won the challenge. So how many years has that been? 4 years, wow. And of course, they have the wonderful animals that help their children learn so much about that. It's just a great school to go and see. If you haven't been, that's a garden, just wonderful things. And the students know so much and will tell you so much about it. So congratulations to Catawba Trail for being a South Carolina Green Step school. From Condor Elementary, we have Principal Paula China and teacher Miranda Perkins. At Condor Elementary, they reuse jars and fill them with plants. They encourage car drivers to turn off their cars while waiting in the carpool line, which is extremely important because they wait in that line for about an hour. And they also compost and recycle daily. So another great example of our Green Step School. Congratulations. We have quite a group from Lake Carolina Lower. We have Principal Dr. Andrea Berry, Green Steps Coordinator and classroom teachers Melissa Kramer, Becky Ann Struthers, and Susan Woodley. And they also brought some green students, Cadence Sherwood and Kaysen Shaw. And at Lake Carolina Lower, they have nature and recycling clubs for kindergarten through 2nd grade. They collect empty drink pouches and muffin packages and use the tap and stack method for trays in the cafeteria to take up less space in the garbage. Wow, and with cute faces like that, asking us to take care of the environment, who could resist? Congratulations. And from Pontiac, we have Principal Dr. Katie Barber, Assistant Principal Torrin Robinson, and Green Steps teacher Lindsay Perez. And at Pontiac, they make sure each classroom has at least one plant. They compost in the courtyard, have an afternoon recycling club, and holds a gardening day with their SIC for campus beautification. Congratulations. You stay up there. We're going to end with 2 special recognitions that I actually don't have to make. But I'm going to call up first Mary Beth Branham, who was here with LS3P to make presentations. And for that, I need Dr. Sabina Masso-Taylor to join Dr. Elkins Johnson up front, along with Ed Watson and Jack Carter. Yes. Mr. Carter, please come forward. Do you want to do it up there?
Well, I am just thrilled to be here this evening. I'm Mary Beth Branham with LS3P Architects, and it has just been a fabulous pleasure to be working with this wonderful design of the new Jackson Creek Elementary School. And we have today a little certificate to present to you for certification for Green Globes, really echoing the great work that's being done in all the other elementary schools and designing with sustainability at the forefront. So congratulations, and we're thrilled to have this as part of that fabulous learning environment. Also will be a great environment in which to learn.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh. No warnings. Yeah. So I'm also very excited to be here. Do I keep using this one? Yeah. Okay. Some of you, I was also just so thrilled to be one of the lead design architects for this fabulous facility. And I think that it's beginning to get many of the accolades that it so deserves. And it's definitely, some of the people that were standing with me before are definitely part of this award as well. It's a team effort. So LS3P combined with MBCon. I'm here to present to you tonight. We submitted it for a Learning by Design Award. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with that publication, but it's a publication that really highlights innovative and fabulous new excellence in design for K-12 schools. And so we submitted it and got one of 6 citations of excellence out of 67 submissions in this particular submission. So I have for you a little excerpt from the magazine, as well as a little booklet that we created about the facility, and I'll be presenting someone here at the facility a little plaque here about winning that award. So we're just thrilled to have been part of this facility, and congratulations.
Get Dr. Davis to come forward.
Please, Dr. Davis, would you like to come forward and receive this? Because I have to give it to someone, Dr. Davis.
It's not a bill.
No, sir. That'll come later. That'll come later.
Oh, never mind. I shouldn't have picked you. He doesn't get to come up front anymore either. Okay, next time I won't pick him.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mary Beth. We have another very big presentation, so I'm going to go over there to get part of this big presentation, and I'm going to ask Valen Emery with the Regional Vice President of Service Solutions to please come forward. And Martha Jones, Dr. Davis, if you think you can, accept this, and, and Wendell Sheldon to please come forward up front.
This one. Oh. All right. It's not a bill, so relax. As she said, my name is Val Emery. I'm the Regional Vice President for Service Solutions, who is your custodial partner. And we are proud to present Richland 2 with a $25,000 donation to scholarships and Ready to Read.
Let me zoom in on that real quick and get that in there. Good.
And that concludes Special Recs tonight. Mr. Blake.
Thank you, Ms. Rue. Dr. Miley, I noticed you're over there kind of paying attention as well when the bill comment came up. Give it a second for the house to clear out. Okay, next on our agenda will be 7.1, the approval of the consent agenda. And just as a reminder to the board, this consent agenda does encompass 9.1, 9.2, and 9.3 as consent. May I get a motion? Yeah, okay. Let me start over. We're now moving on to 7.1, the consent agenda, approval of the consent agenda, which does include, just as a reminder to the rest of the board, items 9.1, 9.2, and 9.3 that are part of that consent, but are placed there for procedural and legal reasons. So may I get a motion? Moved by Ms. Agostini. May I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Manning. Thank you very much. Next up is our first public participation.
Mr. Chair, don't we have to vote on that?
Oh, thank you very much. I guess I wasn't paying attention.
I know
either
you're
there.
excited.
I'm excited about the public presentation. Let's go ahead and take it to the vote. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you, and thank you for the reminder. All right, now public participation. We do have someone signed up. Come on up. And is it Ms. Perez? Is that correct? Before you begin, let me just go over some of the guidelines, if I could. The meeting will be recorded and is viewable on YouTube. You'll have 3 minutes to present, and just for your knowledge, we as a board will not be responding to the conclusion of your comments. However, someone from the district will be reaching out to you. Please refrain from using specific references to school personnel or students. And you may start by, it looks like the microphone is on, but if you would, state your name and address for the public record. Thank you.
My name is Kenya Perez, 6905 Cleaton Road, N175, Columbia, South Carolina, 29206.
Thank you.
Do you want my blood type?
No, no blood type. Not tonight.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, good evening. I would like to thank the school board for allowing me the opportunity to address a very important issue concerning the district's cell phone policy, as well as contradictions written in Richland Northeast's handbook. Due to a recent incident, I want to ensure that R&E follows through with correcting a contradiction in their handbook of an addendum not cited in district cell phone policy that was later confirmed to me through a district employee that the school policy cannot override the district's policy. I would also like the district to consider elaborating and providing a clear definition in their policy of what constitutes a visible phone due to inconsistencies and the discretion of what a teacher understands that to be. This will also assist in minimizing and/or eliminating disciplinary problems from even those with the best intentions. The policy also outlines a fourth offense action of confiscation of a student's phone for the remainder of the school year. I believe this practice can be problematic without parental notice or involvement. I believe this, besides the fact that it is likely unlawful to hold the personal property for such an unreasonable period of time. This policy does not consider households that are single family, as well as households with other family members like siblings that also rely on cell phones as their primary line of communication. Finally, I don't want to dismiss the importance of creating a non-disruptive learning environment, but I encourage you to institute a more appropriate and fair disciplinary action that would include parents' involvement and awareness. By not implementing a fair and concise policy could possibly give leeway to students and parents potentially politely refusing to surrender their phones to teachers because they know in doing so, they will be forfeiting their rights to their personal property for the remainder of the school year, thus leaving most parents financially responsible for continuing to pay on a phone they no longer have possession of, or worse yet, eliminating household lifelines. The school also needs to notify and make parents aware when in fact a first offense occurrence so that we can take action sooner than later. I empathize with teachers because I know the role of a teacher is a demanding, difficult, and a challenging job, and electronics make it even harder. However, I still believe the punishment should fit the crime, and a punishment that overreaches, potentially endangering families and disrupting households is far too severe. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Appreciate that. No one else has signed up, but if you'd like to address the board, please do so now. Seeing no one, we'll move on to item 9, voting on executive session items. And as I mentioned earlier, 9.1, employment recommendations, has been approved through consent. Item 9.2, student readmission requests, also approved through consent. 9.3, student admission requests into the district's adult ed program, also approved through consent. And so now we'll move to item 9.4, student appeals. May I get a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Manning.
I would like to pull student number 1. Student number 2, recommend Blythewood Academy. Student number 3, Blythewood Academy. Student number 4, deny the appeal. Student number 5, deny the appeal. Student number 6, Blythewood Academy. Student number 7, deny the appeal. Student number 8, deny the appeal. Students number 9 and 10, please pull. Student number 11, deny. And student number 12, deny the appeal.
Motion is made by Mr. Manning. May I get a second? Second by Dr. Caution Parker. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll now take it to a vote. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Mr. Manning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For student number 1, Blythewood Academy.
May I get a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Elkins Johnson. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Motion passes 6-0 with an abstention from yours truly, Mr. Plank. Just to elaborate on that, I just felt having a personal relationship with the family involved in this case, it was best that I abstain from that vote. Mr. Manning.
Mr. Chair, student number 9, recommend deny the appeal.
Motion made by Mr. Manning. May I get a second? Second by Ms. Agostini. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Ms. Sherman, we're not getting a window for.
I did.
I got one too. Did you get one? Do you want to record Dr. Elkins Johnson directly?
Deny. No.
You're voting yes or no?
I'm voting no.
She's voting no. Let's see. Motion passes 5-2. Thank you very much. Now move on to, or Mr. Manning, I
Chair,
believe we have
yes,
one
sir.
last, yes.
Last one, recommend deny the appeal for student number 10.
Motion made by Mr. Manning. May I get a second? Second by Dr. Caution Parker. Any discussion? With no discussion, we'll vote. Motion passes 4-3. Thank you very much. Next up is 9.5 on the agenda. Any action is required on executive session items. There is no further action, so we'll now move on to agenda item number 10.1, approval of policy revisions. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are bringing to the board the following policies for approval. Policy ADA, CF, CFA, and CFC.
Okay. May I get a motion to approve the proposed revisions? Moved by Ms. Mackey. May I get a second?
I have a question.
Dr. Elkins Johnson. Yeah, let me get a second first.
Okay.
Second. Oops, okay, thank you, Mr. Shad. We have a second from Mr. Shad. Any discussion?
I do,
Dr.
but I
Elkins
need
Johnson.
Dr. Davis to help me out. Is this the correct one, CF? Just on CF, Dr. Franklin, let's see. What paragraph is that, Dr. Davis? The first paragraph? Okay, I see it now. Okay, Dr. Franklin, my apologies. If you look at the first paragraph, it says, on that second sentence where it says the superintendent hire individuals as building principals, wanted to make a recommendation that we say recommend. See, you're already on top of it. That's it. Because that's what it said in a few paragraphs below, and just to make sure that we're uniform. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, so motion made by Ms. Mackey, seconded by Mr. Shad with your, that's what I was going to ask for the revision, with the friendly amendment, approved with Ms. Mackey. Any other further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take it to a vote. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Next up is item 11, new business, no action requested. We'll start with 11.1, proposed revisions. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dr. Franklin will walk us through the proposals for revisions to the following policy. Policy CH, which is policy implementation. CHA/CHB, which is the development of administrative rules. CHD, administration in absence of policy, and CM, school district annual reports.
Okay, on policies CH, CHA/CHB, as well as CHD, there are no recommended revisions from the School Boards Association or the administration, with the exception of removal of the purpose statement. For policy CM, school district annual reports, the recommendation from the School Boards Association is removal of the purpose statement, and the administration clarified the second bullet, the school summary report, is the school report card narrative. And this administration also inserted one additional report that's required of schools, and that's the school annual report to parents through the School Improvement Council.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Franklin. Any questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is 11.2, first quarter financial report and budget update. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For our first quarter financial report and budget update, Dr. Harry Miley will share that information. Dr. Miley?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I believe you have in your packet tonight the first quarter financial report. This outlines our revenues and expenditures from July 1 through September 30th. As we've talked about in past years, this is very preliminary. As you can see on the very first page for revenues, we've received about 12.14% of our total revenues for the year, even though we're 25% of the year into the year. However, that's right on target with the last 5 fiscal years, has averaged 12.0%. So this is a typical year in terms of revenue flows into the district. They're slow. We actually thought they were slower than that because of the responses and inputs we've gotten from the State Department. If you see expenditures, they're a little bit closer to the calendar. Expenditures are 21.2% of our expenditures, as opposed to 25% of the year. That's, again, right on our 5-year average. Our 5-year average is 21.7% of our total budget expended in the first 3 months. So we feel like that's right on target. Nothing out of the ordinary. Our special revenues and on the third page, the EIA funds, those are, as you can see, we've received $2.4 million out of our estimated $23 million, so we've received very little funding from the state so far. We've spent more than that. That's why it's nice to have a fund balance, and we will anticipate receiving the rest of those funds over the course of the year. But as you can see, we've received very little funding. In our special revenue fund, the next page, we've received even less. We've received a little over $1 million out of our total budgeted $26 million year to date. Again, we've spent $3.5 million, encumbered almost another $2 million. So again, that fund balance is convenient to have and nice to give us the cushion to go ahead and spend funds that we know we'll get, but we haven't received them yet from the funding agencies. Page 5 is school board budget. It's in line with past first quarters, again, very early in the year. We seem to be on target there. And then in the last page, page 6, is our 8% capital funds and our leftover bonding, leftover from 2008 bonding. Again, all of those are on target and in line with previous fiscal years. I'll be glad to answer any questions about this first quarters. I apologize for it being late. We had some difficulties getting our budgeted numbers from the State Department, so we finally got those and we brought them to you as soon as we could.
Any questions or comments for Dr. Miley? Dr. Elkins Johnson.
Just a few questions. One, I was looking at the expenditures, and we noticed that repairs and maintenance, we have already used 62.99%. What was that used on? Do you have a list? Because that's high mid-year.
Well, we've encumbered, yes, you're right, 62.3%, but a lot of those are contracts that we have for the year. So we signed contracts that extend beyond this quarter. Okay. And we also encumbered. We haven't spent it, but we've encumbered. We spent $409,000, but we've encumbered. That is, we haven't spent it yet. We've obligated it for future expenditures and contracts. Mm-hmm. So we feel like that line is more or less in line for the rest of the year. This is a typical expenditure pattern for maintenance.
So we will get an update at the end of the school year?
We'll have an update at the end of December. We'll
Okay.
have a second quarter report, which will give us additional information as we go through the year. I think it gives a more accurate picture of our expenditures, but we're watching that closely.
Okay, the other question is supplies and equipment. Is that school supplies and equipment or district office at 48.98%?
Those are going to be all the above, all the above of supplies and equipment. And again, I encourage you to look at the actual, but the encumbrance is something we've encumbered, we've pledged, and we've obligated it. We actually haven't spent it yet. So we've only spent $1.4 million out of the 5.3, but we have encumbered 1.3. So that's why that number 48% is.
So give me an example of what you mean by supplies and equipment.
A specific expenditure would be.
A lot of that could be discretionary funds allocated to the schools.
For copying paper.
Instructional materials. They may have done, in the encumbrance section, they may have done a purchase order for, say, $1,000 and only spent like 200 of that, but they do go for the entire year.
They might order a half truckload of paper for the year, and they would spend it now. But those kind of supplies.
Okay, and my final question, it's number 378, high schools that work. And we spent $43,401 on what? Is that for conferences?
The high schools
or-
to work, the
Yes.
budget is 43,401. We've spent 18,000 so far. I would have to ask somebody that's more familiar with that, Mary Page.
If you can come to the mic, please. Thank you.
Each school, high school and middle school, get around $6,000 each per year for either high schools that work or making middle grades work. And they use that for a variety of professional development opportunities that are
Okay.
offered through the SREB.
So it's divided with all of the high schools and all of the middle schools, the 43,000, or how?
Yes, ma'am. The high schools, it's kind of a state requirement that they join high schools that work, but the middle schools, it's optional. So we take our lump sum that the State Department gives us and divide it equally among the middle and high schools.
Even the middle schools that are not using it, we're dividing it between?
No, ma'am, not the
just
middle
the
schools
ones
that are not
have
signed up
opt-in?
for it.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Elkins Johnson. Any other questions or comments for Dr. Miley? Dr. Miley, the other objects under expenditures, what, the 2.27, remind me what's in that category? What would be in
Where
that
are we?
bucket? On
The
page
other
2,
objects?
other objects.
For expenditures or for the revenues?
Expenditures, 2.27. Just,
Other insurance costs, like things associated with workers' comp, and there are also transfers to other funds. So
Okay.
workers' comp is one of those things.
Okay.
Any other transfers we do between funds fall into that category.
okay, thank you.
If you guys speak, if you don't mind coming to the mic so the folks that are watching, they'll be able to see who's speaking.
Those are primarily funds from workers' comp and transfers. Workers' comp, we are self-insured, of course, and that can cost us as much as $1 million, $1.5 million a year. So that's the primary expenditure in those other expenditures.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Manning.
Oh, I'm just gonna, if you don't mind, I may follow up with you on some other specifics, but I don't need to take up the time
Be
tonight,
glad to.
so.
Thank you, Ms. Manning. Okay, with no other questions or comments for Dr. Miley, we'll now move on to 11.3, the legislative update. Thank you, Dr. Miley. Oh, did someone have something? Didn't know, did someone have anything for Dr. Miley? I thought that's what you meant. No? Okay. So now 11.3, legislative update, Ms. Mackey.
Thank you, Mr. Plank. One of the obvious things that we have budget, we have teachers, we have students, and the obvious things that make education work. Many of us know that behind the scenes, we rely on the legislature to provide much of our funding, and we'd love to get an update from Dr. Miley as that is concerned. And before we start, Dr. Miley represented District 2 today at an education reform committee meeting, Ways and Means at the State House, and I just want to laud you for the great job you did. You represented us well. I'd love in the future, he gave a great synopsis of education funding and how it works. And of course, you got to kind of break that down for legislators who may not be in the education arena. So I would love for our future board meeting just to have, a brief overview of what you did today. You were put on the spot today and taken out of your area of expertise. One of the legislators I remember asked about all this money that we have for funding. That's a lot of money, and what do we get for that money with regard to performance and things of that statewide. And you did a great job of supporting and talking about the accomplishments of public schools, and you really stood your ground. And I was very pleased at the way that you represented District 2 today. The basis of what you talked about was equity and equitability in school funding, and I just did a great job. And I'd love to hear more from you on that synopsis. They didn't want to hear much, so it wouldn't be a long presentation. But great job today, and I appreciate the way you represented Richland too at that subcommittee meeting.
I'll be glad to, anytime. I think that's on their website if you want to go look at it.
It is.
In case you're really bored to death one night and have insomnia.
Yeah, thank you for that.
I'll be glad to. Would you like me to go over some of this summary?
If you don't mind.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mackey. Ms. Mackey, put together most of this material, but you have in front of you kind of a summary of where we are with the legislature right now. One is they come into session on January the 9th through May 14th. A lot of the work they do is right now, and during the latter part of the summer and the first part of the fall. A lot of committee works are being done right now and working on solutions to overhaul the South Carolina education system, funding system in particular, but they're looking at several other areas. Right now, there are 5 legislative committees: a House Education Funding Study Committee, a Senate K through 12 Equity Funding Committee, a Senate Teacher Salary Study Committee, a Teacher Recruiting and Retention Study Committee, a Fiscal Accountability, it's easy for me to say, a Fiscal Accountability Study Committee, and there's a task force on pension review that probably will involve education. So all those committees are working right now on a weekly basis. This one I spoke to today was the refunding committee. As one of the things that they did last year that is still in limbo is the $20 million for buses. If you remember, Governor McMaster vetoed that, but his veto isn't actually final until the legislature comes back in January and has a chance to override any vetoes. So it's still out there. I've been told that it will probably be withheld, and they'll sustain it, and it won't get funded. Act 388, which exempted the owner-occupied homes in the state, which has caused tremendous funding issues throughout the state, and particularly our district. There was some discussion about how we can fix that. In fact, one of the presentations prior to my presentation this morning included a funding plan that would go back and put taxes on owner-occupied homes. And that's a great idea. We support that thoroughly. And the first thing out of the committee chairman's mouth was, oh, so you won't see any of us next year, because they would be unelected immediately. But it's still a good idea, and we encourage that, but I don't think it's going to make it through the House and Senate. The EOC is still actively working on trying to level the playing field, looking at graduation rates and demographics of students and how they can consider value-added ways to studying school students and their performance. School start dates are still in discussion, talking about whether you give the local districts the authority and leeway to pick their own start dates. I think the best thing that most people feel like is, at least the School Board Association, is that maybe they'll give a range on a permanent basis where we can pick our own start date within a range. Teacher pay and recruitment, there's still some discussions there. There are no changes. One of the things that is still in play in both the School Board Association, SCASA, all three, SCASA and the School Board, school business officials have all adopted resolutions supporting the lifting of that $10,000 earnings cap, which right now is in place. If you retire and if you come back to teach after retirement, you're limited to a $10,000 earnings cap, which would eliminate the incentive for a lot of retired teachers to come back. In fact, we are, I think our HR department, Sean will tell you that I think that's threatening us and a few teachers that would be enticed back if they could earn a salary, but won't if they're limited to $10,000. And with that, I think we'll just watch these committees very closely. There's a committee meeting tomorrow morning on some more funding issues that we hope to be able to, and you can watch them all live online now. It's very convenient and easy. It's just boring some of the times. But with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions, comments for Dr. Miley? Yes.
Point of clarification. Thank you, Dr. Miley. I know I got at least one comment about the $20 million for school buses. The state newspaper reported that it was a $30 million budget item for school buses, but it's actually 20. Someone asked me about that, the state. So 20 is accurate, so we appreciate that.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mackey. Mr. Manning.
Mr. Chair, thank you. You know, I think it's interesting when we look at this. I've been telling people there's basically 5 groups that we report to the state, right? You have the EOC, the State Board of Education, the State Superintendent of Education, the legislature, and the governor. And none of those 5 really agree as to exactly what we should be doing or where we should go. And then we have the School Boards Association, we have SCASA, we have individual school boards, we have the Palmetto teachers, all these organizations which all also don't agree. And so if you do the math on that, I wasn't a math teacher, but I think when you multiply all that out, that's why we don't go anywhere. You know, I would hope that our School Boards Association and others would really get down and focus on a couple things that might be achievable for us to get done. And I think buses is one of those. We know we had a bus fire in Greenville again, so the governor vetoed the buses, and our buses are still catching on fire. So to me, that's a safety issue and a priority. The other is we can do whatever we want all day long, but without quality teachers in the classroom and quality principals in our schools, it doesn't matter what else we do, right? Because we all know that those are the number one things. Looking at the cap for our teachers, looking at ways to certify teachers to get them in the classroom, whether that be alternatives or other things, to me seem like they're the top two issues that we need to address to have the biggest impact. These things about refunding, they're not going to undo Act 388. I mean, I think we all dream about it, but I don't think it's going to happen. And some of these other things are just so big, you know, and we don't have that unity and direction. So that's what, when I talk to people, that's what I'm pushing for, is that we focus on a couple things and hope that it might get done instead of, you know, the whole broad spread, whatever that is, to everybody with all these things where we know nothing will get done. So those are my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Manning. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Dr. Miley.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mackey, for your update. I appreciate that. This time, we're going to move on to 11.4, a report on college and career readiness. Dr. Davis, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Plank. For our college and career readiness report, Ms. Mary Page Boyce will come forward and share that information with the board tonight. Ms. Boyce.
Good evening.
Thank you. Okay, thanks.
If you're ready and you know it, clap your hands. If you're ready and you know it, clap your hands. If you're ready and you know it and you really want to show it, when you're ready and you know it, clap your hands.
Just to start with 20 seconds of cheerfulness. That was at Lonnie B. Nelson, one of our new elementary career specialists, filmed that for the class. We wanted to introduce some of the things that we have been doing this school year to try and make sure that our students here in Richland 2 are college and career ready. But before I start, I really would like to have my team stand up behind me, because they are really the legs I stand on. If y'all would stand up, please. And let me introduce Linda Thompson. Would you wave your hand? District Career Specialist. Kristen C. is our Gear Up Project Director. And Dr. Otasha Morgan is our lead school counselor. And we don't work in silos. We are all up in each other's business all the time. So everything you see here, I promise you, they did 95% of it. And I really appreciate them and wanted them to be here tonight. So we're going to start with some of the things we did, sort of focusing on being college ready with our students. And probably one of the most exciting things is we had our first ever Richland 2 college fair. We, of course, you know, have colleges that come to our high schools. And we have noticed that there is a little bit of inequity with that. Sometimes some colleges go to some high schools and not all 5. And we just really wanted to address that by starting to bring colleges here also to R2I2, and also the parents don't get to go to the high schools to talk to the college reps when they're there. And being a parent of a junior right now, I have a lot of questions, and I know other parents do as well. So we had 25 South Carolina colleges and universities attend, and I feel like I harassed those that did not, and hopefully they will come next year, because over 850 parents attended, and the colleges told me that night they absolutely could not believe that they had not had such a night, and that they would definitely be back next year. We've also invited some of your highly selective college nights as designated by the College Board to come here to R2I2. And the 3 that we featured this year were Duke, MIT, and the University of Chicago. We had close to 100 people at some of those nights. And the University of Chicago has already asked if they could come back for a special night for juniors in the spring, and I hope we'll have more colleges that want to come here so that we can make sure that students from all 5 of our high schools have access to representatives from schools like these. AVID is, of course, a college-ready program. Some of the things I would like to tell you that have happened this year that have been exciting, and of course you saw our team from Summit, and they are on their way to being school-wide. But in addition to having 2 demonstration sites visits this year at Kelly Mill Middle and at Round Top Elementary, Kelly Mill Middle was last week, and Round Top Elementary is in March. We have also had 2 of our schools designated as school-wide sites of distinction, and that is Kelly Mill and Muller Road Middle. We're very proud of them. PSAT, that's been an important initiative for us with the high school students. We have had parent information nights to kind of tell parents why we give the PSAT, why we are starting to give it in 9th grade. As you can see, we give it to all 9th and 10th graders. And then the 11th graders have an opportunity to take that for scholarship money. I'd also like to say that we are the #1 district in South Carolina in Khan Academy linkage. And what that means is that when you get your PSAT score as an 8th or 9th grader, whenever you take it the first time, you can link to Khan Academy, and they will give you a personalized tutorial as you work for the next 3 or 4 years to make your test scores better. And by personalized, I mean if you have done this well on math and this well on English, then they know that you need to work more on English, and your tutorial through them is personalized to your needs and your strengths and weaknesses that you demonstrated on the test. So we're proud of being the #1 district in South Carolina with the number of our students who are linked via Khan Academy. We are trying to get more students, as you know, in AP, IB, or dual credit classes. To that end, this year we began the NIMSY grant. That grant is featuring Ridgeview High School and Blythewood High School, and we are increasing the number of AP classes that we offer in math, science, and English, and doing things like offering incentives for students to go to Saturday work sessions, to enable them to feel confident about taking those classes. Our CAT grant, which is at Ridgeview and Westwood High School, we have our first dual credit classes in CATE this year. We are offering dual credit computer science with Claflin University and dual credit engineering with Claflin University. And their professors come to our schools twice a week and teach, and the other 3 days a week when they're not there, we're doing AP computer science with those students. The AP potential reports is a report that comes back from the College Board as a result of the PSAT. And what this does is allow the high school school counselors to look at the report and identify students who really should be taking AP classes. And we always have a lot who really have that capability, but they don't go into their IGP meetings and actually sign up for them. This allows the counselors to have a report that identifies students that have strengths that perhaps should try an AP course their junior year. And so they can then be called into the counseling office and given a pep talk about signing up for an AP class. And this year we are filling out the official paperwork and preparing to start the career program that is related to the IB program. So now not only will students at Richland Northeast be able to work toward the IB diploma program, but also the IB career program if they are so inclined to go that route. Our Gear Up program focuses on family workshops, college financial aid workshops. It's so important to educate the parents when you're talking about getting the students ready to go to college. Taking the parents on college tours. You know, oftentimes if a child is going to be first generation to go to college, a parent might have never been to, say, Wofford's campus or Presbyterian College's campus, and to get them there and to show not only the child but the parent what college is like there's a lot of power in that. They also provide a lot of SAT and ACT prep at our schools. So we're also career ready. This year we had our first ever CATE Expo. Our middle school career specialists put this on, and they invited parents of 5th through 8th graders to come and see what CATE options we had at the high school. So our high school Kate departments came over. They really put on a show. We had 1,450 people come that night to see what was available at the high schools. We had so many people coming up saying, we had no idea that you could study, graphic design in high school. And it was great because they can find out before choice and all of that if they want to be in, cosmetology, which 2 schools they can choice to. Credentials are becoming a big thing with the new ESSA accountability system. So we are working with each high school to refine all of our CATE programs so that they result in an industry-recognized credential. We went to a workshop focusing on that last spring that the state held, and we are continuing to meet with the assistant principals in charge of CATE so that we know that all programs are resulting in IRCs. We're working with Apprenticeship Carolina and prodding them to work with our community businesses to start offering some registered apprenticeships for our students. We do have one right now, Broom Electric. If you ever deal with them, thank them. They are our first company to sort of officially sign on to take apprenticeships, and we're really excited about that. And we have delivered a list of additional credentials that we want to give to kids that are not on the state recognized list to ask them to consider recognizing, and one of those has already been approved as a result of that, which was I think y'all have heard that the students down here in R2I2 are doing the soft skills training with microburst learning, and we had the first students in the country to actually earn certificates there, and it was not on the list that we could actually formally report, but now it is. So followed up last week, and we're hoping to get more of the things that we're registering. We're certifying kids in things like QuickBooks and those things we need them to recognize that we're doing. In March, we're going to have a summer hiring fair for high school students. We had our first one last spring, and right on the spot, about 45 kids were given jobs for the summer. Our feedback from the people that came, like McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and those types of places, was to have it before spring break because they had done actually a lot of hiring over spring break. So this year we're moving it into March and hope to get more of our kids hired on the spot. This year we have elementary career specialists at every elementary school. We are very excited about that. They are bringing more excitement to just career education and talking to kids about possibilities at the elementary level. Our mentoring program is featuring the 7 Mindsets training. And I was so impressed with that training that Dr. Morgan set up that we have now asked those folks to come back and do nighttime sessions for parents in our district and a Saturday session for any child. Because right now, if you just have to be lucky enough to be in a 7 Mindset school or involved in a program that is doing that. And I was sitting in the training going, gee, I would really like my daughter to go through this. So I was thinking probably a lot of people would like their children to go through this. It's a great positive experience about just how it can change your life if you have a positive mindset and work toward productivity. And then we are also proud of our district-wide use of Naviance, which is a program that I actually saw a lot of today because I had my own child's IGP today. And it is used to align student strengths with their post-secondary goals. It can match you up. It asks you lots of questions about what you want to study, what you want to do, and then it shows you colleges that are right for you, allows you to take lots of personality inventories to tell you what kind of jobs might be right for you. It allows you to build your resume, lots of great things that students can do. And we had a situation where a few schools had that, but we needed to make sure that all schools had that. That is the end of the presentation. If there are any questions, we'll be happy to address
Any questions,
them.
comments? Mr. Shad.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. Great presentation.
Thank you.
In every facet. I did have a couple of questions with regard to mentoring. With regard to mentoring, as Dr. Morgan makes her way up, from a district perspective, do we have plans for the gender-specific mentoring like we did last year? with the Pearls and with our young men and
I'm glad you
basketball?
asked.
Yes, ma'am.
Next week, Tuesday, we are hosting our Girls Leadership Conference,
Okay.
Which is another extension of our Girls and Pearls series. So instead of focusing on a luncheon, they're going to actually participate in a conference-style event. Our high school girls that are participating in mentoring are going to facilitate all of their leadership and team-building sessions that day.
Very good.
So I will ask Ms. Roof to please put it on your calendars. For males, we will do another leadership conference in the spring. Our facility is not large enough to host both because we do anticipate about 500 to participate on Tuesday, and similar to the male events, so.
And do we have mentoring, formally mentoring in some form at every school?
I can say that all of our schools and centers have some type of mentoring.
Thank you.
Ms. Mackey.
Excellent presentation. Thank you so much. Couple of things. I'm glad to see the college fair held here at R2I2. That's a tremendous step forward toward equity and parity and making, you've got to get in your car and drive to some schools. So if you're driving here to a central location, it just, there are no preferences as to which school that you attend. So I appreciate that and providing access to all of our students. Another question, Gear Up. I love it. I can't say enough about it. Where are we in the Gear Up cycle? And my kids are both products of Gear Up. Kristen C., oh gosh, I sing her praises with regard to Gear Up. Both of my children were able to be exposed to that at their high school. And I know that it starts at some point and it cycles through a certain number of years. Where are we in that cycle now? And I can't sing enough about Gear Up, providing students with opportunities to visit colleges and things of that nature, students who may not otherwise be exposed. It's all about you can do anything that you want to do is what we say, but I say it's also anything that you're exposed to. It's not, you say you can do anything, but if I don't know something and if I'm not exposed to a thing, then I don't know that I can do that. So I appreciate the exposure that Gear Up offers, and where are we in that cycle right now?
Right. So the current Gear Up grant is working at 4 high schools.
Okay.
Spring Valley High School, Ridgeview, Richland Northeast, and Westwood
So
High
it's
School.
expanded. That's good.
And it is with the current 10th grade students. And it will move with them to 11th grade,
Right.
12th grade, and this current Gear Up grant will actually work with those students their first year in college to
Oh, that is
hopefully
awesome.
increase students going to their second year in college.
I love it. I love it. And it's still the case that students who don't have a Gear Up program at their school can participate with schools that do have Gear Up, can they not? I'm trying to think. I'm thinking about the tours and all that they took, combined schools in the past.
So with the last Gear Up grant, we did combine schools here within the district, and then we will be doing that also as students with these 4 high schools as they get older, and we'll be looking at more specific schools that have their interested areas of letting kids from various high schools go together. For instance, if students are very interested in engineering at Clemson, we may have 10 from each of the schools, so taking one bus and allowing all of them to go.
Excellent. When we talk about career ready, I think traditionally speaking, that means that students think they do well in school, they go to a 4-year college, you prepare for a career. To me, also, career ready means being ready for whatever career for which you're going to be a part of. That means marketable skills, and so I appreciate the systems that we're employing to sharpen marketable skills, to certify those things so that students who enter the workforce at whatever stage of education they wish to, further have those marketable skills to be gainfully employed sooner than later. So I appreciate that. Last question, AP, you're trying to get up, I think AP, the number of, thank you, let's see, the number of AP, the students who take AP and the core courses, math, English, I think you said science. Do we have like a target range? Is there a range we're trying to shoot for there, or just are we always just simply trying to increase the number of students who take AP courses in those core subject areas?
For those schools, what we did was look at which courses they were currently offering, and then we set a goal for more courses. And depending on, if you were already offering almost all of the sciences, but maybe you could only add AP Physics, then we added AP Physics. But if you were, needed to add AP Computer Science and AP Physics and a few more, then we tried to add those. So both of our schools were at a little bit different place. And then we also looked at the number of students that had traditionally been in those classes, and we set a goal to move that number of students up. So we looked at both numbers of classes more and more students in the classes.
Excellent information and presentation. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Dr. Elkins Johnson.
Thank you so much. That was a great presentation. Just have a question about college visit requirements. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Because I know before in the past, we've had stipulations where if you had 1 or 2 referrals, you couldn't go on to college, or if you've been suspended from school, or if you had a GPA at a certain range. So have we changed that, or what are the requirements?
Another piece of our team, we have a lot of school-based members of our team that are not here tonight, but every school, every high school has a college information specialist. Mm-hmm. And those people, along with their administration, sort of set those guidelines that they use at their school. I would probably not be able to speak to you intelligently about what each school does tonight.
And that's my point, and thank you for addressing it that way. And that's the concern that I do have, because at different high schools, the requirements are totally different. And I would love to see consistency across the board, because some schools have 2.5, some have more, some have, if you have 1 suspension, you can't go on college trips, some have 3 suspensions. So I would love to see consistency across the board, and if you could get back with us after you've met with the people in the high schools to get that done.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you so much. Great
Thank
report.
you.
We're now going to move on to item 11.5, a report, new magnet programs. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Plank. For our update or report on our new magnet programs, we have Ms. Dawn Whitley. Dawn?
Chairman Plank, members of the board, Dr. Davis, it's my great pleasure tonight to tell you about our newest magnets that are coming forth, and I'd like to introduce with a special rendition of a well-known nursery rhyme. There once was a superintendent in Richland, too, who had so many magnets he wasn't sure what to do. So he added 4 more with the help of MSAP. What a great way to keep this premier school district on the map. And we are adding 4 more. We just received the Magnet Schools Assistance Program grant from federal government. This grant is not new for us. This is the grant that helped us implement the Condor Forest Lake Dent R&E continuum, the technology and arts continuum. It's the same grant that got the IB programs funded for us, the STEAM programs from the last grant cycle, and this year we have STEAM M programs. So it's science, technology, engineering, arts, math, and medicine, STEAM. So, 4 schools, Ridge Creek, Rice Creek, Kelly Mill, and Ridgeview will form the continuum for this grant. It's a 5-year grant, and it's $11.2 million. There were 4 districts in South Carolina that got this grant, and we got close to half of the federal grant money that was available. It's good stuff. So what does this mean for these 4 schools? They're now full school magnets, and with MSAP, we also got some new terminology for magnets. We didn't have full school magnets prior to our MSAP grants. We had school within a school programs. So now we are designing programs where it's wall to wall. Every student that walks in is a part of this program. The students that are zoned to these schools currently, they will continue to attend as always, and they're part of the magnet. The students that are currently choicing to these schools do not have to reapply, but they'll be part of the magnet. However, the students from across the district can apply via magnet choice to attend, and this is a little different for our community. Instead of doing choice to Ridgeview and using the expanded choice option, now you go over to the magnet side of the application to apply. So sometimes we have parents that are confused because they can't find Ridgeview under expanded choice, but we quickly guide them over. Existing school within a school programs are still in place. And this is an important piece here. All students that attend these schools get to participate in the STEAM curriculum and activities. So even if you're a Ridgeview student that is also part of the Scholars Academy Magnet, first you're a Ridgeview student and you are part of the STEAM program. And then all students participate in extra programs, whether it be band or AVID or a magnet, they're still part of the total school program. Little specifics here. Bridge Creek will have the MED program, Medical Engineering and Discovery Through the Arts. They are implementing engineering curriculum, which is right up Kristen Eubanks' alley, with their engineering background. And they're creating an engineering robotics laboratory. They'll also have a medical laboratory in partnership with USC. And they're expanding their arts program to include new instruments, dance, and different types of art media. Rice Creek will have the SAIL program, Academics, Innovation, and Leadership. They're also introducing the engineering curriculum at lower grades, and they're strengthening their STEM emphasis at the upper grades. Also collaborating with USC to develop strategies to promote student health and wellness. And here at Rice Creek, we've had the EFIT program for a while. So they've had a focus on wellness and exercise, so this just gives them the opportunity to delve a little deeper and to add more to what they're doing well already. They're also increasing the STEM-based opportunities through the expansion of an outdoor classroom. So they would have, kids would have opportunities to go to the creek and do water samples and look at environmental health as well. Kelly Mill, the Med Pro Magnet School, and I should have said it first, the name of our grant was Med Pro 21. That's medical, profile of a South Carolina graduate, and 21st century. So that's where it comes from. But Kelly Mill is the Med Pro Magnet School, and they will have a mock minute clinic, which I think is just wonderful. And this is with Palmetto Health. They're also designing an outdoor learning center, a theater, a weather station, and collaboration stations. And they have an extended day program for students that need additional support. Ridgeview will have the AIMS program, Arts Innovation for Medical Sciences. And again, they're collaborating with the USC School of Public Health and Palmetto Health. So they will have a medical simulation room. They're offering advanced classes on cell biology, disease, genetics, and they're enhancing their arts programs by setting up a black box theater and providing for many guest artists to come in. Now, our principals are here tonight. If you have any specific questions about the programs that are being offered, or if you have any general questions about how it's going to fit into our existing choice program, I'll be happy to answer those.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Shad?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just very excited about what's ahead for our students and for our community at large. And I appreciate the investment that it's MAPS? What's the name of it? MSAP, sorry. Thank you. That MSAP is, yeah, that they are investing in our children. And I hope that our legislature looks at that. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Ms. Shad. Ms. Mackey.
I just appreciate, of course, the concept, and congratulations on the grant. That should be sustaining for a while. But I appreciate the community partnerships, partnering with health-related institutions right here and well, locally in Columbia. I just appreciate, we talk about community partnerships, but it's good to see it, the implementation and action. I appreciate that. Thank you for your presentation.
Dr. Elkins Johnson.
Just want to say kudos. Thank you so much for the grant. And just a question about how long will this grant provide the funding for these programs?
5 years.
5 years. I missed that. Awesome.
Prior, they've been 3-year grants, but now
Yes.
5 years.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Any other questions, comments? I'll leave it.
Sorry.
Go ahead,
I'm
Ms.
sorry.
Shad.
Is there an opportunity to renew on those grants?
They have grant cycles. Again, this is our 4th one.
Right.
That we've been through. We don't renew the same grant. We would move to other schools. You can significantly revise a grant, or you can go to new schools. But the purpose really is to reduce minority isolation, to balance the schools socioeconomically, and to increase student achievement.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Shad. So we have the Choice Fair coming up on November 28th of this year. Okay. And I'll tell you, choice begins in the public school system. I mean, you see what we've seen tonight. Dawn, you've done a great job prepping me for, on the national scale, talking about choice and what it means in the public school system, as well as locally in different talks I've been able to give there. I'm thoroughly impressed with the options that we have in our district, and I just want to remind everybody, the public who may be watching as well, that the volume of opportunity in different areas and geographically in our district is just bar none. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thanks. Okay, at this point, we will now move on to 12.1, agenda items for our next board meeting on December 5th. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For our December 5th board meeting, future agenda items, we have special recognitions, student expulsions, student appeals, student readmission requests. Our student focus would be Sandlapper Elementary School. We'll have a report on the comprehensive annual financial report ending June 30th, 2017. We'll also provide you with a strategic planning facilities update. We will be asking for approval of the following policies: Policy CH, which is policy implementation; CHA/CHB, the development of administrative rules; CHD, administration in absence of policy; and CM, school district annual reports. We'll also have a policy proposal for your consideration, which will be KLGA, school resource officers, and we will have a data overview report.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. I do believe we're also going to have a legislative update for the next agenda. Ms. Mackey, thank you. Any other agenda items like to be seen on the next or future agendas? Mr. Manning.
Sorry. Not an additional item, just a comment. I appreciate seeing the appeals and the expulsions. The work we're doing in the governance committee, I think, brought out some data. And so we're excited to share that data with the board as to where we are. So I look forward to that report. So thank you for having that on the agenda.
Thank you.
Doesn't have to be the next board meeting, but I'd love to hear from Dr. Miley sometime in the near future. His synopsis today for the Ways and Means Committee about how education funding works and in an ideal world, how we'd like it to be and what we can do was just really good, and it was concise. It was fairly brief. I'd love to be able to add that to an agenda item. I'm sure much to his chagrin. Sometime in the near future, it was a really enlightening presentation.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Manning, back to your question, the student expulsion appeals are the routine items that are on the agenda. Did you referring to something separate? Okay.
Well, then I would like to add something to the agenda. Thanks for clarifying. I would like to add student discipline to that. We got some numbers. I'll just say it in a different way. We got some numbers at our governance committee that I would like to share with the community, and so I'd like to have that on our next agenda.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other items? Okay, great. Let's go ahead and move on to our second public participation, 13.1. We have no one else signed up, but if you'd like to come and address the board, please do so now. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to our next item, which is 14.1, board and superintendent comments. I'll start with my left, Mr. Manning.
Well, I think I may need to take the Naviance thing because I don't know what I want to do yet for a living. So maybe it can help me figure out where I'm going. I did get a chance to attend the college fair. I thought it was fantastic. Like you said, great turnout. The parents and the colleges were all really excited, and they were also all amazed at our facility. So I appreciate the opportunity to have that done. Great reports. I think we just made school choice even harder for parents to know like where to go. So now they're going to have an add to the decision matrix, and I think it got messy. So great opportunity for our students. I had an opportunity this week, or last week actually, to spend some time in Greenville schools, Greenville County schools, and also in Pickens County. Really excited. We're doing a lot of the same things that we're seeing in other school districts with dual credit, engineering programs, our technology center. Pickens tried to claim the first logistics class in South Carolina, and I had to correct them that was not the case, that we had that here. So they were disappointed that I took that away from them. But anyways, good things going on. Thanks for everybody's hard work, and And I also want to thank everybody. You know, I really appreciate the opportunity to serve as a board member in this district. And any of you who know me, you know I have a lot of pride. I wear the hat that you give me, Tamika, everywhere I go. I hand out the pens when I go places. I'm really proud of this district. I'm proud of the people, the students, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve in this role. So thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Manning. Ms. Mackey.
There are lots of things that we strive for. There is no such thing as, 100% actualization, and we have goals for which we strive to reach. And every now and then, while we're asking for things and striving for things, I'd like to take just a moment every year to recognize formally what we're thankful for in light of American Education Week and Thanksgiving, which is upon us. And I add to my little list every year, so I'll try to be very brief with it. I'm thankful to teachers, of course, and in light of American Education Week, but I'm also thankful for teachers' aides, substitute teachers, administrators, principals, superintendents, executive staff, custodians, media specialists, cafeteria staff workers, security guards, resource officers, volunteers, PTSOs, SICs, booster clubs, education foundations, community partners, civic organizations, parents, grandparents, foster parents, blended families, social workers, guidance counselors, IT professionals, the most important people in the room is what I always say for me, support staff, mentors, mentees, and all of the moving parts it takes to educate, nurture, pour into, and build up the future leaders that comprise the Richland 2 student and our surrounding community. And I'm sure there are people that I've left off that list because people who fit categories that I've forgotten will realize that. But anyone else that I have forgotten that make the moving parts work for our education system in this country, in particular Richland 2, I absolutely and vehemently appreciate you.
Thank you, Ms. Mackey. Dr. Elkins Johnson.
Just want to say thank you for being a part of this meeting. Also, really want to thank EJ. EJ Graham was such a lifesaver for me. Character trait of integrity and compassion, represented Richland 2 and his family as well. Also to all the presenters, thank you for your time. Thank you for being so thorough in presenting. And want to say happy American Education Week. I am an educator also, proud of it, glad to be amongst you guys on year 29, so I look forward to another 10 more years. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Elkins Johnson. Dr. Caution Parker.
All right, I'm turning my microphone on. Just want to say today we really enjoyed an outstanding program at Windsor Elementary, celebrating its 50th year. 50th year. And seeing some of the former principals and teachers return, it was just wonderful. Great reports tonight, a lot of good information, especially the College and Career Readiness Report, outstanding. And the magnet programs, I was just mentioning to Mr. Chad in years past. I can remember the first magnet program we had in this district. It was at Dent, where I was the assistant principal in the TLC program. And how proud I was to return to Dent 2 years later as the principal and to be over that program. So, and to see how far we've come in these past, 20 years is just amazing. It's just amazing. So kudos to everyone, and I hope everyone enjoys a safe and happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Caution Parker. Mr. Shad.
I wanted to thank everyone for these wonderful reports and student recognition, especially Dr. Elkins Johnson with her inspirational moment, reminding us about being excellent despite the odds and what other folks will say, those dream killers that we have to snatch our dreams back from. Happy belated Veterans Day.
Thank you for your kind words, Ms. Shad. Ms. Agostini.
First, I want to start by thanking Dr. Elkins Johnson for introducing us to EJ this evening and providing the inspirational moment. Also, I've had the opportunity to celebrate Veterans Day at several of our schools, and just wanted to say what an honor it was to be at Richview High School when 4 of our students took their oath of service in front of the school. As a former Army wife, I just want to thank all of those who have served and all of those who are going to serve. And finally, just wanted to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Ms. Agostini. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This morning, we celebrated the 50 years of education at Windsor Elementary with an anniversary and community day. This was also complete with classroom tours for those of us that were interested in visiting our classrooms and seeing our schools and seeing what teaching and learning looks like in a world-class, premier 21st century learning environment. This morning, I shared that today, or this week, is National Education Week, and the National Education Association in 1921 adopted a resolution to raise awareness of the importance of public education by launching an American Education Week. In Richland, too, we firmly believe in communicating the importance of public education, and it is just as critical today as it was in 1921. And so we understand here in our district, in Richland, too, all partners are committed to creating, investing, and sustaining in a culture and environment of excellence, and that it takes a community to provide a premier education for our students. And we are so thankful for all of our partners, our students and their parents, our employees, our school board members, our administrators, and our community at large. And we just want to say we appreciate all that you do to give us an opportunity to put forth the best products that we can, and that's our students. On Thursday, we will hold our annual State of the District here at R2I2. Breakfast will be served at 7:45, and the program will start promptly at 8:15. Richland, too, is also hiring, so join us for the fall pop-up job fair, also on Thursday, November the 16th, from 3 to 6 p.m., and that will also be held here at R2I2. Bring your resume if you're looking, we're looking for candidates in all positions. So those of you who have that resume, dust them off, come on down and see us. I hope that everyone enjoys time with their family and friends as we give thanks and appreciation for the many blessings that we have. So I say to have a happy Thanksgiving break. And when you return, plan to learn about the many choice options available in our district at the Choice Fair, which is Tuesday, November the 28th, here at R2I2. And as you've heard me say many times before, Richland 2 is a district of choice where every school is an excellent choice.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. You know, by the time it gets to me, you just want to say ditto, you know? And looking at the time, you're probably thinking, then say it. However, now, you know, since the last time we were here, I believe we had the opportunity to go to the dedication for Jackson Creek Elementary, year 1. And then today, we celebrated Windsor Elementary, year 50. It's especially important to me because I share the same age as Windsor Elementary. And I started thinking about just class after class after class that has gone through, who've gone through that school, through all of our schools. Jennifer Boone, you spoke today, first grade teacher, correct? Teach ESOL. But you also attended Windsor Elementary, and you are teaching in the same class for your first grade, right? Yeah, that's impressive. So all those years, we have seen just waves and waves of our kids go on to do great things, from college and into great careers to serving our military, and like Ms. Agostini said, watching those 4 students get sworn in into our military is just special. But I just want to thank everybody here in this season of thanks for all the years and all the efforts you put in every day so that we have waves and waves of our leaders tomorrow and those who help support our community. So thank you so much. And with that, without any objection, we'll now adjourn the meeting.